Maathrey, namaha. With the divine blessings of our Mother Divine Lalita Mahatripura and Father Divine Lord Mahadeva, celebrating the Devi Navaratris, we are trying to understand the very powerful Shree Chakram. Today we'll make an attempt to understand the third enclosure called Sarva Samkshobini Chakram, the agitator of all. Why is this called agitator? Because this is controlled by the Ananga Tattvam, the Manmada. And Manmada, as long as he is acting externally outwardly, he causes all the desires, and therefore with his wife Ratri Devi, and those desires basically give us pain, pleasure in different mixtures. The pleasure that is temporary, not the bliss that is permanent. Therefore this chakram is called agitator of all, or Sarva Samkshobini Chakram. Now, as we understand this chakram, we can essentially turn these desires from outwardly to inward, therefore ensuring antarmukha samaradhya bahirmukha sudurlabha. What you can't get outside, you will start getting it when you start walking within. Now, the presiding deity of this Astadala Padmam, the 8-petal lotus, is called Tripura Sundari, Mother Goddess herself. And the yoginis that are supporting Mother Goddess, the 8 of them, are very, very, very secretive. Therefore, they are called Gupta Tara Yoginis. And these Gupta Tara Yoginis are living in this 8-petal lotus, which is in deep red color or Japa Kusuma color of the chakram. Now, in this chakram, all the Panchakrityas are performed every day. Like we exist, we wake up, we do the puja, then we become worldly, we get engaged in various acts, deeds, and then sometimes we are happy, sometimes we are unhappy, sometimes we are sad, sometimes we are ecstatic, sometimes we are ruled by different emotions, and come back again in the night, we sleep, wake back up, again the same routine every day. Now, these are basically called the cosmic acts of Maya, wherein you wake up every day, so you have Srishti is happening in you. Then you progress through the day. What happens is sustenance happens, Stitikaram. And then in the night you sleep, Samharam. In between you perform something, Tirodhanam, which you knew were not right. Okay, and knowing very well, you probably overeat, you did not do some Karikramas that you are supposed to do, given the Nitya Naimittika Tithi of Navaratris, and you have some amount of guilt because you know your consciousness is telling you that you need to do something but you didn't do, or you are doing something that you know you are not supposed to and is not prescribed, but you anyways choose to do because of the ignorance, and that is the Tirodhanam that is done in the form of Maya. Now when you realize that what you have done is wrong and ask for forgiveness, that's what becomes Anugraham. And as Anugraham increases more and more, you will start doing more and more deeds that are in line with what the Veda has prescribed without questioning it, without a basis. A lot of times in Kali Yuga, people question exactly like what Ravanasura did, because Ravana knew the Vedas in and out, but he said this is not applicable to us, I am above this. Only to realize when towards his end that his knowledge, which became ahankaram and ignorance, consumed him towards his end and caused his destruction, as he shared with Rama. Now, this 8-petal lotus, which needs to be prayed to in the clockwise order, is representing of 8 psychological forces which are not physical, and all the 8 start with Ananga name, because these are the various facets of Manmada and Manmada's function. First Shakti is called Ananga Kusuma, Ananga Mekala, Ananga Madana, Ananga Madanature, Ananga Reka, Ananga Vegani, Ananga Amkusha, Ananga Malini. What are the different attributes of these 8 psychological forces of Manmada? Ananga Kusuma is called Vachana. When you basically have a desire, you basically start talking about it. Internally, your inner voice basically tells you, or your You are talking to someone about a desire that you have. You want to eat something, you want to get something, you want to do something, you talk. Ananga Mekala, that Vachana, what you are speaking now starts becoming Adhana, is essentially starts scripting a plan on how to execute and get what you are desiring to get. It could be good or bad. Then, as you start scripting the plan, the sustenance, plan of sustenance, and you start executing, you Ananga Madana is the one that causes Ghamana, or the motion, gives wheels to these plans so that they can execute and become a reality. Now, as this becomes Ghamana or comes into movement and motion, then it becomes Visarga. You open yourself to explore the pleasure or the desire that you have, that you want to experience, and therefore you completely expand yourself to enjoy, whether it is the act or deed that you are in. It's whether enjoying something, having something, or doing something. Once you indulge in the act and enjoy it, whether it is dharmic or adharmic, instantly you get ananda. This ananda is expressed by ananga rekha. Okay, the pleasure which is beyond the angas comes into a body when you are experiencing food, when you are experiencing any of the desires that are being fulfilled. You get a kind of pleasure, so-called gratification, instant gratification, that is experienced by Ananga Rekha. She makes sure that is experienced Ananda. Then Ananga Vekani Hana. Immediately after you enjoy something, if it is not dharmic, it is not in line with Sanatana Dharma, you will have a guilt that is injected in you, and you will start withdrawing from Visarga, which was a precept to Ananda, where you expanded yourself to experience the pleasure of whatever desire that you were moving with. And once you reached the peak of the desire, you experienced Ananda for a few seconds or a fraction of a second, and then immediately comes Hana, where you start closing yourself because you start realizing what you enjoyed is probably not dharmic, and therefore then Upadhana comes, which is caused by Ananga Kushuka. Upadhana is essentially that thought that whatever you have done or whatever you enjoyed is, if it is not dharmic, the amount of guilt that injects. If it is dharmic, then the pleasure it causes. Upadhana essentially reflects on what can happen next, whether it is good or bad. Then Ananga Malini Upeksha. Upeksha is essentially, it waits for the karma to come and fructify. Upeksha is essentially waiting. Now, this is something that happens in all of us, in majority of us, since we choose to be worldly, outside focused, and trying to be greedy, trying to follow the material accumulation beyond our needs and for fulfilling to wants. Therefore, these 8 cause us a lot of times guilt and grief. The moment we start making a conscious effort to turn this into dharmic by the rules of Sanatan Dharma or a guru that we follow, all of them will start doing the Vedic acts like Ananga Kusuma, Ananga Mekala, Ananga Madana, Ananga Madanature, Ananga Rekha, Ananga Vegani, Ananga Amkusha, Ananga Malini will be ruled by one of the greatest devotees of Mother, Manmata, when he was burnt by Shiva because he chose to shoot Shiva with his floral arrows to induce Kama in Shiva on Mother Goddess Parvati. Shiva burnt Manmada down into ashes. Similarly, when a bhogi is trying his best to convert himself into a yogi, therefore trying to walk the path of Shiva, that if Manmada starts shooting arrows on him or her, a bhogi, the worldly outside person trying to tune in he or she into a yogi, then the Shiva in him or her, the chief guru, will come to our protection, therefore annihilating Manmada, destroying him. And then When we start praying to Shiva with the help of Shakti, the Manmada is reborn again as Ananga, and therefore starts blessing us to walk the path of Shiva and Shakti, because by sharing his lessons that are learnt as best practices, Ananga or Manmada will be our Guru. Therefore, in Kali Yuga, Mother Goddess Lalita's or Sri Vidya's chief Guru is Manmada. It is called Ananga Vidya as well. The reason this chakra is called Sarva Samkshobini chakra is a lot of people get stuck here and they are not able to progress ahead. And when they are not able to progress ahead, they need to pray to that Tripura Sundari, who will help us take beyond the generate, operate and destruct Stitika or Shree, Sthiti and Samhara, the groundhog day that all of us have every day. And taking out the Thirodhanam, she takes us to Anugraham. Thirodhana is also important. If you are in Grahastha Ashram, it's important to have kids. Therefore, Thirodhana is important to induce the dharmic lust in everyone so they can have kids and therefore pay back to their Pitru Devatas in the form of Pitru Runam that they need to pay back to. So, these Panchakrityas are important as long as they are in limitation. Now, we will also make an attempt to understand Muthuswami Dikshitar's Kriti in Shankara Bharanam Ragam, which essentially is very, very close to Shiva. Shiva is called Shankara when he is very, very auspicious, and he is playing the dual role of Bhogi and Yogi. That's when Shiva is called Shankara. Shankaroti titi Shankaraha. Stay blessed, spread the bliss around. Shri maathrey, namaha.